forward remained in Barcelona. Guardiola may well have insisted that power was in his own hands, but Eto'o made it clear he would not be forced out. Determined to prove his worth to his new boss, the attacker set about treating his team's pre-season as though it were an audition. Eto'o's efforts were not to be in vain. When I was unveiled, I said I was not counting on Eto'o, but I also said we would treat him as any other player, Guardiola told the press, as the La Liga season continued its approach. During the past 2-3 weeks, the past month that we have been together, I have been very pleased with his performance. I only have words of praise. His behavior and attitude in Scotland and the United States have made me decide that Eto'o will remain with us. And, as well as that, he is a player with immense talent. And so, with Guardiola's U-turn complete, all seemed to be well once more. Deco and Ronaldinho had long since bitten the dust, but, heading into the impending campaign with renewed vim and vigor, Eto'o remained a permanent fixture at Camp. Guardiola's inaugural league season began in uncertain terms, with an opening day defeat to newly promoted Numancia and a draw with Racing Santander. Lacking tangible proof of progression on the pitch, eyebrows were instinctively raised over the new manager's early season tinkering with personnel. But Guardiola's Blaugrana soon found their feet and, from that moment on, there appeared to be no halting them. Following an emphatic 6-1 win away to Sporting Gijón, Barca embarked upon a run of 19 wins in 20 games. Guardiola's men first ascended to La Liga's summit on the 1st of November and refused to be dethroned until the league title was theirs. At the head of an outrageous offensive trident, Eto'o occupied the centre-forward role while a proficient pair of auxiliary wingers in Thierry Henry and Lionel Messi dominated their respective flanks. As the team would go on to hit a then-club record 105 goals in 38 league games, across all competitions, the trio notched an exact century between them, Messi scoring 38 times, Eto'o 36 and Henry 26. Barcelona's Committee on Player Acquisitions had spent much of the lead-up to the campaign telling the world of their desire to invest in a world-class number 9. Eto'o's stunning retort was to spend the entire 0-win at home to a shell-shocked Almeria. A fortnight later, back at Camp once more, Eto'o thrashed 4 first-half goals, yet, since his new boss had shown the audacity to so publicly question his abilities, he had a point. Exactly who orchestrated Eto'o's swift exit is a tale still open to interpretation. Whereas Barcelona had spent much of the previous summer positioning Eto'o in every shop window on La Rambla, by June 2009, the club had well and truly changed their tune and, after his season's heroics, it appeared the ball was finally firmly in Eto'o's court, reportedly replete with a contract extension awaiting his signature. We're trying to find a way in which he can stay. I have called him a couple of times but he hasn't answered his mobile. I don't know if he has changed the number or whether he's lost it, but I would like to speak to him, club president Laporta lamented, in a fashion that seemed almost a parody. The situation has saddened me because we've always had a clear and direct relationship. We offered him 2 years and we're waiting for his answer. Yet for all Laporta's talk, it appeared as though Guardiola's reassuring chatter regarding the attacker had been mere lip service. It remained clear to most that he still wished to upgrade his centre-forward and his wanting gaze had not shifted from Zlatan Ibrahimovic since the summer before. It would have come as a surprise to much of the football world had Barcelona simply sent their camera union packing, en route to the highest bidder in order to finance a deal for the prolific Swede. Though Ibrahimovic, just a year Eto'o's junior, had weaved a tantalizing trail of extraordinary goal-scoring exploits throughout every club of his choosing, Eto'o was, of course, fresh from a treble-winning 36-goal season. But Barca didn't only trade Eto'o for Ibrahimovic, they used the forward as a make-weight in an astoundingly lopsided deal. On July 28, 2009, the news broke worldwide. Official reports on the BBC made no attempt to steady the stark imbalance. Ibrahimovic seals Barca move, announced the headline. Zlatan Ibrahimovic has signed a 5-year contract with Barcelona to end his 3-year spell at Inter Milan, detailed the report. Barca have paid £40 million while fellow striker Samuel Eto'o moves the other way to the Italian club. Next came the quotes, Ibrahimovic's first. It feels like I'm living a dream now. It was not easy for me in the last weeks. It went on. I made an agreement with the president of Inter that the only club they could sell me to was Barcelona. The others could ask but they wouldn't get a reply. The only one I answered was Barca. That gives me a special feeling. And on. Barca has a historic tradition. Everyone wants to be part of this great club. They've made history and I want to be part of that history. President Laporta's glowing endorsement of his new flame followed. He is not a conformist, he is ambitious, a winner, an authentic man with strong feelings, and he wanted to come to Barcelona. Finally, Eto'o's footnote. I made history at Barcelona but that chapter is over. At Inter, I am starting a new chapter and starting from zero. I am happy with this new adventure and hope everything goes well. I won a lot at Barcelona and I hope to do so in these colors. For better or for worse, the Catalans had jumped holding a £40 million swag bag, with Inter's name on it, to put the finishing touches to the deal. For Ibrahimovic's signature, Barcelona were ready and willing to part with Eto'o on top of a princely sum. Eto'o, however, was in no mood to discuss comparisons with the man succeeding him at Barcelona. I am Samuel Eto'o and I don't want to compare myself to anyone, came his confident riposte. I believe the victories I have earned up to now can contribute to giving the right value to my name. A consecutive history-defining season would put that beyond doubt. With Jose Mourinho anticipating a tough second season at Internacional, and characteristically resolute in pursuit of his club's 5th straight Scudetti, much like his Spanish contemporary at the Barcelona helm, the Portuguese manager reinvigorated his squad through the transfer market. In addition to Eto'o's widely publicized arrival, Mourinho elected to acquire the services of fellow striker Diego Milito and his teammate Thiago Motta, procured from domestic rivals Genoa, as well as Bayern Munich's centre-back Lucio and Real Madrid's Dutch midfield dynamo Wesley Sneijder. Though hardly exhibiting the swashbuckling style to which Eto'o had become accustomed during his short spell under the rule of student of Pep Guardiola, Mourinho's Inter proved themselves to be typically assured, effective and unashamedly pragmatic. With a keenly drilled defense, it was upon a foundation of clean sheets that the team's success would be built, and largely through goals scored on the counter that their victories would be obtained. Mourinho prevailed by oscillating between two similar formations, a forward-facing 4-3-1-2 and a more reserved 4-2-3-1, both of which placed Milito as the offensive lead of the team's charges. As a result, as the season progressed, it was Milito who established himself as the Nerazzurri's foremost forward. This meant that Eto'o, demanded by Mourinho to occupy a position on the wing and encouraged to drift infield when in possession and retreat to fulfill his defensive duties when without the ball, suffered in front of goal, but his contribution would be duly noted in other areas. Inter's season was awash with draws. In the league, Marino's men tied 10 of their 38 games, while in the Champions League, they drew each of their first 3 group games. It was here that Marino's inherent pragmatism came good, though. While Inter's closest Serie A rivals and eventual runners-up Roma drew only 8 of their own league fixtures, Inter shaded them in goals scored and goals conceded. With the most impressive figures in both category in all the league, this evidenced Inter as the most effective unit in the country, even if they did have their weaknesses. On the continent, after 3 successive draws, Inter managed to sneak through to the knockouts by defeating Rubin Kazan in the winner-takes-the-final qualification spot game on matchday 6. The Italians had collaborated with Guardiola's Barcelona on a stalemate in their group stage opener before succumbing to a 2-1 defeat when travelling away to Compton in late November, but, having progressed nonetheless, Marino's side believed they could yet have the last laugh. They'd be handed the chance to end the semi-finals when, after negotiating their way through the knockout rounds, first defeating Chelsea, then CSKA Moscow, Eto'o's clubs, past and present, were reunited. The fate of the opening leg at the San Siro first swung in Barcelona's favour when ex-Inter fullback Maxwell cut back a cross which found the left foot of Pedro, who swept his side into a first-half lead. But before Barca could return to their dressing room with a half-time advantage, a low Eto'o cross found Milito in the Barcelona area. The Argentine took a touch, turned away from goal, took another, then prodded the ball onto Snijder, who fired the ball past the Catalan custodian. 1 each at the break. In the second half, Inter constructed a lead that even a later 1-0 loss in the return leg couldn't undo. First, a Goran Pandev pass dissected the Barcelona defense and set Milito charging ahead to continue their counter at pace. Exploiting Eto'o's position in the center of the area as a distraction to the Barca plan only, Milito instead sought out Maicon, who found that his first touch teed himself up perfectly to nick in with the second that caressed the ball into the far corner. And just as 1 became 2, 2 soon became 3 as Barcelona were put to the sword once more, with Milito the provider becoming Milito the goalscorer, a role far more adept for a player of his predatory nature. When Barcelona failed to overturn their deficit at home 8 days later, Marino and his domestic double to take home. In early May, they got their hands on a first trophy of the season. A coveted Coppa Italia attained, with just a solitary goal conceded on their 5-game route to the title. The Nerazzurri were just getting started. Their defeat of Roma in the final was only the beginning. 11 days after draping the Coppa Italia in their beloved black and blue, Inter contested their final game of the Serie A season, away to Siena, and secured the narrow victory required to retain their title once more. Just 2 points ahead of familiar foes Roma, Inter had their double, Dago Bernabeu to the tune of more than 80,000 voices. Bayern Munich emerged, determined to stand between the Italians and history. Sadly for the Bavarians, this would be Inter's day to cherish. In their recollection of the 2009 10th Champions League final, the history books remember just 1 name and 2 numbers: Milito, 35, 70. Those 3 details alone recall every fact that need be remembered about the occasion, as it was those 3 details alone that won Inter their unprecedented treble. Those 3 details changed Inter's history forever. As a reminder that even the most magical of real-life fairy tales must be grounded in some regard, it wasn't, as many may have hoped, Eto'o who scored the goals that won Inter their Champions League. But, though they came not from his own boots, as only 16 goals did throughout the season, that Inter were in a position to win a most unimaginable treble was thanks in large part to the Camera Union. Eto'o made 44 appearances in all competitions, including 12 in the Champions League, the joint most of any Inter player. Though his contributions in front of goal diminished by 2/3 from the season before, it was clear to see that this was not due to the physical fall-off that the Barcelona hierarchy so vocally feared, but instead to a shift in role under the instructions of Mourinho. For Barcelona, meanwhile, offloading Eto'o proved, by no means, to be their downfall. The club retained their La Liga crown, losing just one game on the way to an outstanding 99-point haul, by which time they had long since secured the season-opening Supercopa de España and UEFA Super Cup trophies, in addition to the FIFA World Club Cup, which signed off on a record-breaking calendar year in which Barcelona lifted a never-before-seen 6 trophies. Still, there is nothing to suggest Eto'o could not have performed just as well as Ibrahimovic were he afforded the opportunity to continue his role. Before moving on to pastures new at the end of the following season, Eto'o was implicit in Inter's securing of a quintuple of trophies, adding the calendar year's Supercopa Italiana and Club World Cup to their haul, as only a loss to Atletico Madrid in the European Super Cup prevented them from matching Barcelona's remarkable sextuple of the year before. Eto'o, supposedly over the hill long before the end of the 2010-11 season, banked 37 goals in 42 games. When posed with a question regarding his headline-hitting Cameroonian following Eto'o's goal and 2 assists to carry his side beyond Bayern in the Champions League, Inter president Massimo Moratti told the press, "I'm not sure if the deal that brought Eto'o to the club was my best piece of transfer business ever, but I really think it was a great piece of business for us. Eto'o is fantastic. I do not want to take anything away from Ibrahimovic, but for everyone it was really a great deal to get Eto'o. Samuel is truly extraordinary." That she was. Though Moratti may have been happy to define the trade as being for everyone, a great deal, the truth was, Inter's benefits outweighed Barcelona's in a big way. While Eto'o followed becoming the only player ever to win back-to-back major trebles with 2 different clubs by outperforming even himself in black and blue, the following year, and ever-volatile Ibrahimovic departed Barca after just a single season, having fallen out with Guardiola. Ultimately Moratti's comments weren't unjust. Both teams did, indeed, find the treasure they were searching for in each acquisition. The spoils alone, lighted during the fleeting eras in which Eto'o and Ibrahimovic scored their goals in the Blaugrana of Barcelona and the Nerazzurri of Internazionale, tell that story concisely. But if to prove no other point than this, Samuel Eto'o's back-to-back trebles capped 2 truly prolific spells, underlined what an immaculate goalscorer he was throughout a long and illustrious career, and proved that Eto'o was certainly no man's make-weight.